Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would take you on a little tour around the flower farm, and since I haven't showed you around in a while, I have been a little bit quiet on posting, but I have been filming lots of things and I've got lots of videos coming up, so I'm really excited to share those with you. I thought I would show you around the field, show you what's happening. It is currently middle of September and we're having a nice warm evening this evening. It's about 5 p.m. I'm hiding in the eucalyptus because it's quite bright, so I'm trying to keep out the sun so that I can record this properly. But there's a few changes, a few new things, and I also want to talk about what I want to do, what my plans are for going through winter into 2022 flower production. So I'm in the front flower field at the moment, which is our triangular shaped field, which is where my flower farm originated. And this field is, I'm trying to create more of a perennial area, so it's less maintenance up here, and then my field at the back can be my annual flower beds. So I have grown a few annuals in this field this year because I didn't have enough perennials to fill it up at the start of the year, and I've also got lots of dahlias in here. Not as many as I would have wanted, but we'll talk about that anyway. So we're here in the eucalyptus, so I might as well start here. I don't know if you remember, if you watched my video back in March this year, I coppiced the eucalyptus and I was a bit hesitant about it because I was chopping down these huge big trees. These are the ones that I didn't coppice. They must be getting on for 15 foot or more, and I'm not very good at guesstimating measurements, so it might be wrong, but it seems, if I think maybe I could fit 3 of myself up into some of these trees, so yeah, maybe they are about 15 foot. So I coppiced half of them and left half of them because I didn't know whether it was going to work. And here we are behind me. This is one of the ones that I coppiced. It's about 5 foot tall now. I cut them, I think, down to knee height, and at the time it was just a stump. If you want to be reminded of that video, then I'll leave a link in the video up here and you can click on that and see how I coppiced the eucalyptus to get this growth on that we have on it now. So as you can see, it's thrown up lots of healthy new foliage, and I haven't been cutting any of it yet because it has very delicate tips on it that I think would wilt straight away if you tried to cut it. So I've also got some bush behind me here that I coppiced, and here as well behind me. So they're all about just over 5 foot tall now, which is really good. So I'm going to do the rest of the trees next year. The only thing I need to do is research whether I can literally cut all of the foliage off it if I want to, or whether I need to sort of save some for next year, or whether I can just cut it all off and use it at Christmas time, and then it'll come back again next year. I need to find that out, so I'm not quite sure. And then there's a few other shrubby things in here, but nothing really too interesting. Let me take you around. The sedum has been flowering, which is nice. It's always a really good filler to have the sedum. So I think I might actually, I know that I haven't picked much of this yet, but I think I might actually propagate some more, so that I can have a bit more of that sedum. And let's have a look over here. These are 3 hydrangea plants that I put in that I bought from another flower farmer, and they seem to be doing okay. I didn't know whether they would do that well in here because it is quite exposed and we don't have a lot of shade in this field, so I wasn't sure how they would do in the open air, but they seem to be doing okay, so hopefully they will continue to do so. If not, we could maybe move them under the shade of the eucalyptus or something like that. And then behind me I have the limonium, the sea lavender. I haven't really picked a lot of that, and I've let it all go to, it was a nice purple colour and now it's gone quite brown, which is a shame because I would have liked to pick it and dry it whilst it was purple. but I think I might pick it as it is and dry it and see how it looks when it's dry. Then behind me I have the artichoke bed, which has been brilliant. I've been picking lots of artichokes. As you know, I love to put them in my arrangements, and I found that they flower mainly in spring, and then they don't flower much in the middle of summer, and I've had a couple of new artichokes on them this autumn, so that's great, and I've put some more of those in as well, which is great. These are the oxeye daisies that I cut back a few weeks ago, and I have been getting a few more stems off that, which is good. And I have tried to dry some of these, and they've looked okay, so I might just pick these remaining ones and dry them. This is the Achillea bed. This year I was saying to myself, I'm gonna let this flower in early summer, and then I will sow another succession which will flower later in autumn, because I always feel like I miss the Achillea when it's gone, or when it's gone over. So I need to cut all this back, and then next year I might sow some for a late summer crop, but we'll see. Or maybe I need to do a Chelsea chop on it, I'm not sure. This bed behind me, I actually had all of the intentions to put a summer cover crop on this, but it ended up being way too dry, and our rotavator broke. It had an oil leak, and Rob ordered some parts, but he just hasn't had time to put the parts on the rotavator and fix it for me. Behind me we have lots of raspberry canes, and there's some amazing, these have all ripened in the last few days. Check for bugs first. Tastes so good. There's tons. Loads of raspberries, and I've noticed that this variety, I can't remember, one of them's summer and one's an autumn fruiting variety, and I cut all of this back down to the ground last year and it hasn't fruited this year, so I think I shouldn't have cut that, and that will fruit on it next year, hopefully. And then we have the lovely Teepee behind us. At this point in the video I started ranting on about how I couldn't find any doors to put on the front of the teepee, because we are coming up with some kind of bespoke solution to having a set of double front doors on the teepee. I couldn't find anybody to make them for me, so I found some actually on eBay recently, so I purchased those and they've arrived, which is really great. So I was really looking forward to putting those doors on and having a gorgeous landscaped area in front of the teepee. I was going to put some pavers down and landscape it with trees and shrubs and things like that. But last week we had a lot of bad weather and we had some bad wind, and that has caused some tears in the bottom of the teepee, which is just so frustrating, because I was literally ready to put these doors on and start creating the teepee scenario of dreams, but turns out the weather had other ideas. So that means that we can't peg the teepee out, which is causing the canvas to flap around a bit, and obviously it needs to be pegged out. So I've got in touch with the manufacturers or the supplier, and they said that they suggested this company who can do repairs. So I got in touch with them. They've got a 6-week lead time, which is literally takes me up to the week that I'm supposed to be starting my Christmas wreath workshops. So I'm a little bit stressed out. I'm really hoping that I can either bring that lead time forward a little bit, or come up with a temporary repair, or possibly hire a canvas off somebody else. We will just have to see how that goes, but hopefully it will get sorted before Christmas time, because I was just really hoping that this year was going to be the year where I would have the perfect area for Christmas wreath workshops and I could have it all lit up lovely for Christmas. But hopefully we'll still get there, so stay tuned for future episodes where I'm sure I will keep you updated on what happens with the teepee. So back to the flower field tour. Flower farm last year. And also this verbena hastata, that's been really good this year. It's not really producing that many flowers now, but I'm definitely going to propagate some more of that, because that's been really, really nice in some of the bouquets. This is an empty bed that's basically been empty all season, that I'm hoping to put some more perennials in. And then here we have some penstemons and some geums. The geums flowered really nicely at the start of the season. They've produced loads of stems, and more recently they haven't been producing much, but I can still pick the odd stem from them. Then we have some of this lamb's ear here, and some penstemon twizzle coral. That one's been really nice to contrast with the dahlias. It's quite a nice neon orange. And then there is some of the gooseneck loose strife stuff there. Another empty bed that's been empty all season because I'm waiting for perennials. Lots more lamb's ear here. And then we get into the dahlias. They've only really just started producing lots of good quality flowers because we had problems with slugs at the start of the season, which set them right back, and other pests. But they've just started to produce nice flowers now, we're like middle September now, which is a shame. But hopefully next year will be a bit different. We don't know. So that's nice. I planted out some chrysanthemums at the back over there. They were meant to go in the polytunnel. I'll tell you about the polytunnel later. But then I just decided to plant them out in the field and see what they do. And then I've got artichokes in the front here. I actually didn't think that these artichokes were going to look like this, because when I planted them they were just like so crispy and dry, but they've come back to life, which is good. We've got some more dahlias behind us here that are looking nice. And then this is a new one for me. This is Crospedia. This is the first year I've grown Crospedia, and actually these sat in the tray for ages, and I was thinking that they weren't going to do anything because I put them in way too late, but they've started to send up some nice stems, so I'm hoping that I can pick some of these for using fresh in autumn, and also dry some as well because they're really cool, and just add something a bit different to the bouquets. Here we have some different types of dusty miller, and I can't actually remember what this stuff is at the front there, so we'll have to wait until it flowers and we'll see what it is. Then we have a couple of beds of grasses. The grasses are getting a little bit old now, and the birds are constantly all over them feeding off those. Here we had lots of toad flax, which I really loved. I'm definitely going to grow that again, but I thought it was a perennial, but it all seems to have died off over the summer gradually, one by one. I'm not sure why that's happened. So I'll have to sow that again, and maybe it needs to be somewhere different, I'm not sure. And then we've got some nice Achillea up there, which I've been using loads of because that's really nice as well. I actually don't know the variety name, but I'm going to have to find out because I have had a few questions about that. And then here I've got two more beds of dahlias, which are looking nice as well. I wish I'd have been able to put more dahlias in this year, but as you know, maybe you don't know, I kept them in the ground over winter, which is something that I wouldn't normally do. But I decided to just leave them. I think I was just way too busy last October, November when they needed digging up, and I just took my chances on leaving them in the ground, and I did lose quite a few, but I would probably have lost the same amount if I'd have tried to store them, because I haven't been very good at storing them either in the past. So I think I might give it a go again this year, but I might do it properly this time by mulching them with straw or something, and then covering them over with some kind of membrane, or maybe not a membrane, but something that isn't going to put too much moisture on top of them so that they rot away. I'll try and keep them drier if I can. So that is the plan, and then I'm going to label the ones that I want to keep. I might dig them up in spring and take cuttings, or I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm going to I think do another video about my favourite varieties that I've grown this year, and I'm going to label them to make sure that I can produce more of them next year. And then of course I will be buying more tubers and cuttings from suppliers next spring as well. So that is basically what's going on in this field. The other new thing in this field is, I don't know if you remember, but I had like a walkway that had fencing along it, sort of in the middle of the field here, and basically it was supposed to be a nice walkway from the garden, which is up there, down here past the pigs are at that side, and then our part of our garden is up there. And it was going to be a nice walkway. When I first started my business, I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to have a really nice archway with sweet peas or some kind of climbers growing up it. But it soon just got taken over by grass. It had weed membrane and wood chips on it, and I got fed up of looking after it, so we've taken it out, and the fencing is actually going to come in handy for fencing up there where the teepee is. We're going to fence an area off for the alpacas so that people can meet and greet the alpacas when they come for workshops, and also possibly alpaca walking as well in the future. So I've got this space here which can be used as a flower bed, so I think I'm going to use it as a mint bed. So I got lots of mint delivered. I think I got 30 plugs delivered from Ashridge nurseries earlier on in the year, and I haven't planted them out yet because I've been waiting for a compost delivery, which I've got now. So I'm thinking of doing a big no dig mint bed here, and hopefully we can have lots of mint. And also the mint that I bought this year has really bushed up in the pots that I put it in, so I'm going to take some cuttings from that and propagate some more myself. So that is exciting. I'm not sure quite yet whether to make it into a mint and other herb bed or just mint on its own, because it is huge. It's probably 15 metres long, possibly. So I think that's it for this field, and we'll head over to the other field now. So when I was in the front field not a second ago, but I suppose in the video it'll be a second ago, I picked some flowers whilst I was up there. So it's about an hour and a half later, and I'm in the backfield, and it's a very nice evening, despite the donkey noises. So I'm going to pick some more flowers in here and also give you a little bit of a tour. Things are looking really good in here, getting a little bit towards the end of the season, but it has been a lot better than it was last year, and I'm hoping for even better next year. With all of the plans that I have over winter, hopefully we'll get some good crops on everything in next summer. So here we are. So let's see if I can get through all of this, find a way to go through it. This bed here behind me didn't get planted up with anything because it was very dry, very weedy, etc. So what I did was weeded it a while ago, a couple of months ago I think, and then I covered it with corrugated cardboard, and I did plant a couple of bits of poppies and sunflowers there, but it's not really got anything in it in particular. So I'm hoping now that I've got on my compost, that can be mulched again and it'll be ready to plant in next spring. Then next to that we have lots of sunflowers, and the sunflowers that seem to be doing better are these. I'm not sure what variety it is. It could be Italian white that's behind me, but they're getting nice and tall and producing more and more flowers every week, which is good. Then I have some more of these teddy bear sunflowers down here. Actually, I've hardly picked anything from them. They were very small to start with, and now they've sort of grown up but are very tightly branched, so that you can't exactly pick them very easily. So I hope I'm explaining that well, but basically I haven't been able to cut anything from them because the stems haven't been very compatible with cutting. Then we've got some more sunflowers up here, more of the sunsetty colours like Pro-Cut Plum and that kind of thing. And there was some Solidago right at the end up there. Hardly picked any of that actually, to be fair. I think it was because it came at the same time as another filler that was quite yellow, and I ended up using the other filler. I can't exactly remember what it was now. I think it might not have been yellow, but it might have been Alchemilla mollis that I was picking. at the time. So anyway, then behind me here there's lots of straw flowers, and they're sort of arranged in the colour varieties that they are. So at the end we've got yellow, then we've got blue, and then we've got pink, and then we've got apricot. So I need to pull my finger out and get loads of that picked and dried, ready for storing over winter. And then in front of this I've got lots of helichrysum. This produced a main stem, and then I cut that main stem, and then I waited quite a few weeks for it to start sending up side shoots. So I was waiting a long time, but now it's producing lots of flowers again, so that's another one that I would quite like to cut and dry if I don't use them all as fresh cut flowers. I really love using the helichrysum fresh. I think it complements loads of things really nicely. So let's go back up here. Here we have an absolute massive forest of auroch, self-seeded auroch, which is where the Larkspur was actually meant to be this year. And that's another shame, because that was a really nice red colour last week, and I went away, it rained quite a lot, and now it's gone really brown. So I'm gonna have to cut all that and dry it as well and see how it dries over winter. I'll go a bit further down here. Here we have some salvia. I think it's Salvia farnacea, white variety. That's only just started really producing flowers, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a perennial or whether it's going to be an annual, so we'll have to see whether it survives over winter. But yeah, it's quite a nice little addition to bouquets and things. And then here we have some snapdragons. I can't remember if I made a video about when I was planting these. The plants were extremely puny when I put them in, but they did produce some quite good stems, especially the Potomac lavender variety, which was good. And I don't know if you'll be able to tell via the video and the screen and everything, but this half of the field has been very poor production quality, and that is because we have some kind of water drainage issue in the field, which I'm hoping we're going to be able to sort over winter, but I'll speak to you about that in a second. Here we have lots of mallow, which unfortunately we didn't get the usual really nice crop of that for some reason. Last year we had a really nice big tall crop, this year we didn't, and also when it was at peak production we had that big hailstorm, and that kind of just destroyed all of the petals on the mallow, which was a shame, so I'm going to have to pull that up and try again next year. And then here we have a small patch of cosmos that I planted a few weeks ago that I'm hoping to get some autumn plants, some autumn flowers from. It's already, a couple of them have already started flowering. I can't remember exactly the name of the variety, but I was at the end of the spring sowing season, I was like, oh, I'll just chuck a few more in. I think they were called Cupcake or something like that, and I was like, I don't really like them, but I'll just chuck them in anyway, and actually it turns out that I do really like them, and they are one of my favourite varieties this year that I've grown, so that's brilliant. Here are the asters, and if you've been watching my videos all along this summer, you'll know that I planted an absolutely massive amount of asters. I think it was 300 or 400 plants, and I haven't picked as much of these as I thought I would. And I think, I'm not sure, this is my theory, that when it rains the water collects inside the petals and it sort of rots the flower away, and I don't know whether it's just because I haven't been picking them or deadheading them that they haven't been sort of reproducing as much, but we'll have another go with them again next year, or maybe I'll grow them in the polytunnel and see if they do any better in there, or a low tunnel where they're protected from the rain and I can just put the irrigation on under there. But there are some really gorgeous varieties in there, so it would be a shame to miss out on them next year. Then behind me we have the first flush of cosmos, which I'm still picking a few flowers from, but it's getting to that stage where you're having to look quite hard to find something that's worth picking and putting into a bouquet. And then next door to that we've got the Amaranthus. So we've basically got two different varieties here, which is, I think it's either a poppier or one of the other dark red varieties. I can't remember the name of the other dark red one. And then there's hot biscuits at the back there. These haven't grown as tall as I thought they would, but that could be down to the drainage issue or just the weather conditions that we've had this year, I'm not sure. And another win for me this year is this Ami over here. Normally I get some kind of condition that affects the Ami and it just doesn't grow in my front field, but it seems to have grown quite well in this backfield, and it also usually grows quite well in my polytunnel. So looks like, for the moment anyway, that I'm able to grow Ami in this field, so I'll definitely be putting that on my list for things to grow again next year. And that basically covers what's in this field. Oh, I'll go up here and I'll show you the bee balm. I've grown bee balm this year for the first time, and I wasn't sure whether I would like it that much, but it does make a really good filler. And it's very nice and tall, probably about 3 or 4 foot tall, so that's been really handy. And like I said earlier, we've had some drainage issues in this field. When it rains, basically we have like a massive concrete pad behind that wall there, which has the muck hill on from the farm, from all of the horses and donkeys, and I think that the water runs off the concrete into this field. When it rains really heavily, there is kind of like a stream of water that runs down there, and the back half of the field stands in water, and it doesn't take much water for it to get like that. So I think in the winter we're going to have to hire a digger and put a drain in so that it drains out of this field, and we can improve the soil in here once it's all draining properly. So there's another area over there that I was hoping to cover crop this year, but it was the issue with the rotavator again. So hopefully next year I will be able to put my cover crops in, and I can tell you guys how it all went with the cover crops, because I was hoping to put in a quick fix cover crop that I could put in summer, and then I can top it. So I would cut it back in just before it starts to flower in autumn time, and then I could let it grow again over winter, and then I was going to cut it down and mulch on top of that, ready for spring sowing, and that would have added lots of nice goodness to the soil over the winter. But unfortunately, with timings and everything, it just didn't work out that way. But I've still got the seed, so hopefully if I can keep it safe, it won't be too bad to use again next year. So I was hoping to cover crop this whole, so basically I went through Cotswold Seed Company. I ordered some summer fix cover crop, and I ordered a winter cover crop as well. So I am wondering whether to sow it on this field or whether to leave it for now, or maybe do half of it and not do the other half, because obviously we're going to have to bring the digger in anyway for winter. So I haven't decided quite on that yet, but I will obviously be updating you on that as we go along. And this is me nearly 2 weeks later, explaining to you again what has happened in the polytunnel, because my battery died when I was explaining last time. So finally found some time to come back and explain to you properly what is going on in the polytunnel. But basically I can't keep on top of the weeds in here, even though I have used weed membrane in here, which is crazy because the weeds have grown through the holes in the weed membrane that I cut. So what I'm hoping to do this season is, at the end of this season, is remove all of this, mulch it extremely heavily, like extreme over the top mulching, and I'm hoping that's going to bury a lot of the weed seeds. And then so what I'm going to do, I think, is use 1 or 2 layers of corrugated cardboard, then a very thick layer of compost, possibly, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches of compost, and then the weed membrane on top of that again. So we're going to create a big sandwich of mulches, and hopefully that will keep the problems at bay in this polytunnel, because I seem to be able to keep on top of it in springtime, and then when it comes to middle of summer, when it starts getting hotter, I just cannot keep on top of the weeds. But yeah, I'm really hoping to next year to be able to use this polytunnel all season long, because so far I haven't been able to use it all season because of the weed problem. So that is my plan. I'm hoping to get that sorted this winter. The other thing I would quite like to do is get another greenhouse sorted, because I really want to do plant sales in spring and see how that goes. I want to see if I can do some cut flower plant sales. So maybe, well, I'm just going to have to see whether the local area appreciates that kind of thing. But I definitely need another greenhouse for that, or some more staging for the polytunnel, because I don't have enough room as it is with the 2 flower fields that I have and the 2 greenhouses in spring. So I will definitely need some more space to grow that, to grow those things. And since I filmed this a week or 2 ago, I have actually been doing some clearing out in the field. So I'm just wondering whether I am going to have to put in that cover crop just to see what happens. It's still quite warm at the moment we're sort of middle September, so I might give the cover crop a go, because I will be kicking myself next year when I think I haven't tried it yet. So winter plans are leaving the dahlias in the ground, but doing it properly this time, so mulching them with straw and covering them, protecting them from excess rain, potentially putting in some winter cover crops, potentially putting up another greenhouse, sorting the polytunnel out, and I think that's about it. We have got some stuff to do near the teepee, got some fencing to put up there, and I also want to make a couple of tool stations for this field and the front field, because I need somewhere to keep my tools safe, because I lose them all the time. The other week I lost my hori knife, lost it for weeks, so I ended up buying a new one. And then I was doing a workshop the other day, which was a pick your own bouquet workshop, and I was stood on the floor just like supervising everybody, and I just looked down and I could see the hori knife handle near my feet. So I was like, text my friend Tina, and I was like, finally found the hori knife, because she's been helping me look for it when she's been coming down to volunteer, so she was pleased that I found it, because she's always on the lookout for it. Thank you if you made it to the end of this video. I hope it's not too rambly, and let me know what you think of the winter plans and what your winter plans are as well. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again next time.